And hello everyone, this is Yugioh. Welcome back to the channel. So welcome to part 2 of my OCG caster deck profile. Today we're going to be going over some of the combos, we can do some test hands, and then at the end I'm going to go over a few tech options that you can play for your deck. So the OCG and the TCG caster decks are very, very different from one another, I think. From what I've seen in TCG caster, it can be very balls to the wall, right? You're trying to lock, 5-7 zones on the first turn and just really blow out your opponent. OCG doesn't do that. OCG decks are not designed to lock a lot of zones really early on. What they're designed to do is they're designed to lock, 5 zones, right? That's like the win con. If you can lock 5 zones, usually the 5 monster zones, you're probably going to win the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you just a few simple combos, 3 combos, and then we'll do a few test hands just to see how consistent the deck is. So the very bare bones combo you need is you just need 1 copy of Kashtira Unicorn. So what you need to do, I'm going to assume that you know what these cards do just to save some time. So starting off, if you just have Unicorn, just special summon Unicorn, use this effect to grab Papias, activate Papias, target Unicorn to get a non-win Kashtira from our deck. So we're going to get our boy Fenrir. Now Fenrir is going to trigger, we're going to add Kashtira Rise Heart. So if you don't know what Rise Heart does, if you control Kashtira, just summon it from your hand, and then you can banish 1 Kashtira card from your deck as cost, banish the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck face down, right here, and then you come to level 7. So now what we're going to do is we're going to overlay these two into Shangri-La. Okay. They're going to trigger Rise Heart, do special summon Rise Heart, and then we're going to activate Rise Heart's effect to banish Kashtira Big Bang for the deck as cost. Our opponent banishes 3 cards face down. Okay. And now Rise Heart becomes level 7. So now Big Bang and Shangri-La are going to trigger. And we'll use these tokens as markers. Right, so Shangri-La is going to lock 1 zone. Okay, going to lock 1 zone. Let's do this like bang, right? We'll have like the damage here. Right. So we're going to lock 1 zone. And then Big Bang is also going to trigger. We're going to get one of the materials out of Shangri-La and onto the board. So we're going to get Fenrir. It doesn't matter which one, honestly. And then you're going to overlay these two, because now they're both level 7. We're going to make Diabolosis. So now Diabolosis is going to trigger detaching. Doesn't matter which one you detach. Detach material. Rip a card out of the opponent's extra deck. We're just going to use another card here. This represents all the banished cards. Shangri-La and Diablos are going to trigger here. So Shangri-La is going to lock another zone. And then Diabolosis is going to banish the top 4 cards of our opponent's deck face down. Right? Because they have 4 face on banished cards. And then, because cards got banished face on again, Shangri-La is going to trigger and we're going to lock a 3rd zone. Now, on the standby phase, on our opponent's standby phase, Shangri-La is going to trigger, and we're going to get a Fenrir out of the deck. Doesn't really matter when you get, although you probably don't want to get Ogre. Either Unicorn or Fenrir is probably the best ones. Fenrir's really good because he offers spot removal banishing, so if your opponent normals a monster, activates its effect, you just banish it with Fenrir. And what this does is you then get a banish off of Fenrir, which is going to lock a zone with Shangri-La, and then you get a banish off of Diabolosis because a card got banished face down, and then you're going to lock the 5th zone with Shangri-La. So that's ideal. That's like the ideal, 5-zone lock. Of course, things don't always go as planned, but that's just a very, very simple combo that you can do with just 1 unicorn. Get used to this because we're going to be making this in every single test hand. Now, I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to show you when we do have access to these lines. And yeah, the other 2 combos, we are still going to be making these cards because these 2 cards are incredibly important. So that's 1 combo that you can do with 1 unicorn. But there are 2 other combos there. There are 2 card combos that will get you a little bit more. So I'm going to reset the deck a little bit. So the other 2 combo you need is Fenrir and Papias. So what we're going to do here is this time, instead, we're going to special summon Fenrir and then activate Papias to get Unicorn, right? And so now we can use both their effects, and we're going to add Rise Heart, again, off of Fenrir. And this time, because you already used Papias, we're not going to get that one. We're going to get Kashtira Birth. So now we're going to do the same thing here. Activate Birth, special Rise Heart, make Shangri-La. Use Rise Heart effect, banish the Big Bang. Right, opponent banishes 3 cards. And then Shangri-La is going to lock a zone. Big Bang is also going to trigger. We're going to get Unicorn out. and special summon him. This time I'm going to overlay these two for Diabolosis. And do the same thing again, detaching. It doesn't matter when you detach here. And again, you're going to rip the top 4 card for the extra, and then 4 cards at the top. Lock 2 more zones. Yada, 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 yada. Now, here, we're going to activate Kashtira Birth. To get back a Kashtira from our graveyard, we're going to get back Rise Heart. Now, because we activated the effect of Kashtira Shangri-La, we're going to use Rise Heart as material. We're going to rank them up into a Rise Heart. And on the standby phase, we're going to trigger Shangri-La and get Fenrir. So now, again, we threaten the 5-zone lock with Shangri-La and Diabolosis, but now with a Rise Heart on the board, the opponent's on a timer. They can only play 2 cards. Once they play 2 cards, then a Rise Heart is going to have 3 materials on it, which means that at any point I can threaten the 5-zone lock for free. I don't have to wait for my opponent to play a monster effect like with Fenrir. So this is slightly stronger, and getting the Rise Heart on the board is very, very strong against the Tier Limit. Like this is a really hard card for them to deal with. Right? They need to open like a Dark Blue No More or Book of Eclipse, and those cards aren't commonly played game 1. Now, this is also pretty strong. Right? This is slightly stronger than the last board. There's one more combo. There's one more combo that you can do, which is, as far as I'm aware, at least with this iteration of the deck, which is the strongest board that Kashtira can make. And it's just, now, to be fair, it is kind of the same thing, but it is ordered a little bit differently. So you need access to Unicorn, and you also need Scareclaw Kashtira. You need to have these 2 cards in your hand, or a combination, or some way to access both of them, right? So again, the same thing with Unicorn, right? Unicorn, Papias, Unicorn, Papias, Fenrir, Rise Heart. We've seen this song and dance before. This time, and then you're gonna do all of this, right? Overlay into Shangri-La, summon Rise Heart, banish the Big Bang, lock a zone, yada 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 yada. And now here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna activate Scareclaw. Now we're gonna do is we're gonna activate sorry, not before that. We're gonna do Unicorn, get the Unicorn here. Now, what we're gonna do is we have another level 7 extender. We're gonna activate Scareclaw Kashtira here. We're gonna banish the Papias, special summon him. Papias gonna trigger. We're gonna get back the Big Bang. Not ideal, but going first. This is like not ideal, but going first. This is all you have. Now, now we have Diabolosis, right? We also have alignment to Rise Heart because you already activated Shangri-La. We're gonna go into a Rise Heart first, okay? And so then when we overlay into Diabolosis and banish cards twice, right? Banish cards twice. All of a sudden, a Rise Heart is gonna trigger 2 times, and we can attach. Worst case, we're gonna attach these 2. Right. So now we have a 3 material Rise Heart. So on the standby phase, right, when Shangri-La summons Fenrir, we threaten the 5-zone lock by just detaching 3 from Rise Heart, banishing the first card they play, or you don't want to do that early, but basically the moment you see a card you want to banish, just do it then, and then you lock 5 zones. Right. Very, very, very simple. So those are the 3 main Kashtira combos. So now what we're going to do is we're going to shuffle this deck up. We're going to try a few test hands. Now, I'm not going to keep track of the number of banished cards because the opponent is going to have 8 total banished by the end of it. I will keep track of, however, how many zones we're locking. Right, so I'll use these tokens to keep track of the number of zones, and every time we lock a zone, I'm going to flip one of them over. So, I'm going to shuffle the deck up. We'll try test hand. See you in a bit. Alright, so now that we have the deck all shuffled up, we're going to try... we'll try 3 test hands. And then we'll see what we get. Alright, so this is test hand number 1. Okay, that's already really good. Ooh. Ooh, okay, this is interesting. I think... So because we've opened both the Unicorn and the Fenrir, so we don't have to tutor the Fenrir with Papias. So obviously we're going to summon Unicorn first, but instead of getting Papias, I think we're going to get Birth instead, because now we can just normal summon Fenrir. Alright, so activate Birth, normal Fenrir. Fenrir's going to trigger, we're going to search Rise Heart. And would you look at that? We now have... Go Shangri-La, Rise Heart, banishing, Now there's an argument to banish another a Kashtira here, so we can trigger the birth, but it doesn't really matter because we're gonna be overlaying them into Diabolosis anyway. So banish Big Bang. Right. So where the tokens go? Here we go. So I got the 5 here. We're just gonna lock. I'm gonna flip one of them down. Lock a zone. Put them up here, actually. Let's put them right. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Put them right here. So lock a zone. Big Bang into Unicorn. And we got Diabolosis. Right. Diabolosis, detach, lock a zone with Shangri-La, and then do it again when we trigger Diabolosis the second time. Get birth, get it back. We have a Rise Hard. We also have a Called By. This Called By is now dead. If our opponent didn't stop us, so it's kind of a waste now. But chances are, because it's the OCG, they'll probably have tried to max CS, so we just Called By them there. And also we have Preparation, just in case something happens to one of our casters, and we can just get it back. Also, we can flip up the Preparation if they play a trap for whatever reason, then we get hand, and then we get hand on, we can rip a card. But that's probably not going to happen. So, first test hand already, that hand was really, really good. I will say, just right now, in the other test hands that I've done, I mean, this deck can brick. It can brick on hand traps because we're playing so many. It's 3 Imperm, 3 Ash, 3 Maxi, 2 D-Shifter. Not to mention the Call By cross out. So really, the deck lives and dies on whether or not you're able to see Fenrir or Unicorn. And if you don't get access to either one of them, then you're in a really bad spot. You don't get the full combos. So this is going to be test hand number 2. Let's try it out. Cut our deck. So OCG, for whatever reason, at least the locals that I go to, you split the deck into 3 parts, and then they pick a part to put on top. So, okay, we'll try test hand number 2. Okay, that's already not promising. That's a little more promising. Okay, if we get a Kashtira, this hand is amazing. I said if you get a Kashtira, this hand is amazing. Alright, so this is what I was talking about, right? So we have 2 really powerful starter cards. We don't have any Kashtira to field them. To be fair, our opponent is probably not playing the game. That being said, D-Shifter is kind of a bad draw here because it does conflict with the Maxi. So there is an argument, actually, to not play this card in the OCG. Because I don't want to have to choose between D-Shifting my opponent or Maxiing them. Granted, you can't Ash a D-Shifter. But that's still a really hard toss-up because you can't do both. I mean, unless you're going to go like D-Shifter 1, Maxi 2 on the opponent's turn. I mean, you could do that. But I would also, feel safer just like D-Shifting them turn 1. But anyway, actually probably with a hand like this, I'd probably just pass and then in their standby go D-Shifter Maxi. But let's see if we go second. What do we draw? Okay, that doesn't help. When do we get a Kashtira? Are you serious? It was gonna go Maxi Ash, Maxi Ash. Do we get a Maxi? Do I hear Maxi number 3? Okay, so if we got the Fenrir instead, then that hand would have been amazing. So unfortunately, we did whiff, but that's fine. We have one more test hand. All right, so this is going to be test hand number 3. All right, let's put this one on the top. Let's see what we get. Uh-oh. That's not good. That's really not good. Oh, come on, if you get a Kashtira, come on. Okay, well at least our opponent's probably okay. Well, at least this hand is not bad going second. We can still dark ruler them. What do we get for our 6th card? Oh come on. Oh come on. Okay, there. No. Okay, we're not gonna win this game. Okay. It's fine. Okay, one more test hand. We're gonna trust. This deck is good. Trust. We're gonna try it again. The deck lives and dies off of a few 1-card combos. If you don't see those 1-card combos, you're not in a very good spot. Now, to be sure, you could put in Pot of Prosperities, but I'm not paying that kind of money for Prosperity. I know they're cheap in the OCG, but by OCG standards, they're pretty expensive, right? A lot of the cards in OCG you can get for $4 or $5. Those are pretty high end. Prosperity's like 25. So even if I were to for the lowest rarity, so even if I were to pick one up, or even if I were to find one, still a lot to pay, considering it's pretty above. It's very above average for my OCG standards. Okay, so I know I said we're only gonna do 3. I'm gonna try one more test hand. Come on, come on. Thank you. That's enough. Okay. Well, I guess, you know, our Lord and Savior Jesus Starfrost giveth and he taketh away. So, it's gonna go. So Parizos is unicorn access. So this is actually kind of interesting here, because we have ogre. So we get unicorn. Obviously unicorn we're gonna special summon and we're gonna get birth. Now the question here is, do we go? So we go Papias, of course. Now the question is, do we go Rise Heart here? We go Rise Heart here, or do we go for the third Fenrir? I think because we already have the Fenrir and we have the birth, we might as well just go Rise Heart. This actually kind of works out because then we go birth, get the normal out tribute for Fenrir. Fenrir can search us Scareclaw, Kashtira. Alright, get a Scareclaw, Kashtira. And then, you know, we have the line into the 3 material Arise Heart. Alright, Shangri-La. Alright, Rise Heart can trigger here. Now what we could do is we could just like we can do a lot more. We can do a lot more. So I think what we can do is we can go Scareclaw Caster here, banishing Ogre from our hand to special summon it. And then we can go Birth to get the Ogre back, Ogre effect to search a trap. We can search Preparation. Unfortunately, though, that we don't have. No, actually, we can't get the Poppies out of our graveyards. So there's really no point. But you know, we still can go. You know, activate Rise Heart, banishing Big Bang. Banish Big Bang. You know, we're gonna lock a zone. All right, we're gonna lock a zone. Flip that over. And then get the Fenrir back on the board. Now we got a lot of stuff. We can actually hard make a Rise Heart if we really wanted to. But we don't have to. So now we just, you know, we can overlay these two. Or no, we don't overlay these two. We make a Rise Heart first because we've activated Shangri-La and we have a way into Diabolosis. We can overlay these two into Shangri-La or into Diabolosis. I guess you could make overlay into Fenrir. Probably want to do that because we have a third Fenrir in the deck we can get out. We only have one Ogre. And then do it again. We just banish. Alright, lock 2 zones with Shangri-La. And then attach 2 materials with a Rise Heart. We attach these 2. We can then set Preparation and pass. So now we have the Spot Roof of Banish. We have an additional Banish we can very, very sloppily stack the opponent's deck with Ogre. We just banish one of the good cards. On the standby phase, we get the third Fenrir or a Unicorn to rip a card out of the extra deck. If anything happens to our stuff, we can just Preparation, get it back. So yeah, that hand was really good. I know I kind of cheated. We went over the 3-hand, a 3-hand limit, but you know, there's this deck again. The deck can brick, unfortunately, and you unfortunately saw what that can look like. Really, the only way to counteract that would just be playing, you know, like, you know, Pot of Prosperity. That's really like one of the best ways to do it. So, the last part of the video that I'd like to do is I'd like to go over a few tech options that you can play in Kashtira if you don't have access to certain cards, or if you have other things you want to prioritize or whatever. So. There's a few different things that you can do. I've seen this in some TCG lists. You can play Arsenal Falcon and the Barrier Statue. So Arsenal Falcon is just a generic rank 7 detached material summon a level 4 winged beast from your deck. You just summon the Barrier Statue, the Stormwinds, lock the opponent out of playing. I would say this card is decent. But a few things I would say. Number one, this is another brick on top of Big Bang, right? You know, Kashtira doesn't really need the normal summon. You still can just normal summon the barrier statue instead of just making the Arsenal Falcon. So that is a line, but you know, this is very vulnerable. Unicorn can still be summoned under this, and Unicorn just punches over it. Or you go Birth, normal Fenrir, punch over. Even Rise Heart punches over it. So it's not the best, I think, personally. But you know, it is an option. I have seen it, and if you know your opponent's not playing wins, then you know you just kind of win the game here. That's one option. The other options you can play, you have Titanic Moth. Titanic Moth is just for Zeus. Of course, if you have Zeus, why would you not be able to afford Titanic Moth? I'll come back to this card in a minute. For other main deck stuff, we got, you know, Chaos Hunter. Chaos Hunter you can use normal summon off of Birth, special summon it during the opponent's turn, and then they can't banish stuff. So a Rise Heart and Diabolos don't really work. The only downside of Chaos Hunter is that it is a level 7, and some caster decks can play Siren, and some caster decks can play Mind Control. Right? So and if you have a Chaos Hunter on the board, they Mind Control. You just gave them level 7, so that's not the best. You can also play things like Nectar Valley. You can use set rotation to get the Parizos, because Parizos is a really, really good card. And Nectar Valley could just, against tournaments, you know, Nectar Valley just locks their graveyard. They can't really do a lot. They have to out this. Nectar Valley is a lot better in the OCG than it is the TCG, because Parallel Rhino is at 1 as of the recording of this video. So they have to hard draw the Parallel Rhino to out Nectar Valley, which you can reasonably expect that they're not going to do a lot of the time. And then I saw this in very early caster decks is Planet Pathfinder. Again, because you don't really need the normal summon too much. You know, why not just use it to get Unicorn access? That is another option. And then I want to bring up this card last. This is Donna Dagger for Hire. So this is a card that says it's just a Link Scrap Dragon. You target a monster for hire you control, and a card your opponent controls destroy them. That's the only effect that matters. It requires 2 monsters with different types, and it's a Earth Beast Warrior. So Donna is a big part of the reason why. This is the reason I want to talk about it last, is because I wanted to talk about Mushroom Man number 2. Picture will be on the screen. So if you don't know what Mushroom Man number 2 is, it's a level 3 Earth Warrior from Metal Raiders. During the standby phase, you take 500 damage, and then during the end phase, you can pay 500 life points and give this card to your opponent. Now, many people who already play Kashtira know why this card is useful. It's a warrior. It's a normal summon, so you just play it, and you don't really need the normal summon. You give it to your opponent to disrupt their plays. They can't summon Kastras if they control a monster, and the effect of burn triggers in the standby phase. So if you have like a Unicorn or a Fenrir, you can, or even Ogre, you get a banish, right? You get a banish, and then Shangri-La can lock the zone. Now, before I talk a little bit more about Mushroom Man number 2, I want to make it very clear, I don't think that the card is as good as you think it is. Mushroom Man number 2 has fallen out of favor in the OCG. People don't play it because they're prepared for it now. It was really good as a shock factor card. But there's a lot of thought that went into why Mushroom Man number 2 over like any other monster. Like, why not Ibli? Why not Silent Wabi? To be fair, that deck was playing Silent Wabi, but Donna is part of this. So, few reasons. Number 1, it is a normal summon. So, it's 1 fewer card you give your opponent under max C. Number 2, because it doesn't have to go to the graveyard, it plays under D-Shifter, right? If you D-Shift the opponent and then you normal Mushroom Man, right? Mushroom Man will give itself to the opponent during your end phase, and it doesn't have to go to the graveyard. Right? So you get to do both. Number 3, because the effect triggers, right, you can rip 2 cards out of the opponent's extra deck with Unicorn. Also, level 3 means that if by some crazy chance, if that caster deck is playing a rank 4, even if they normal Rise Heart, they can't overlay into a rank 4. It's also 1200, also over 1000 attacks, so you can't link off into Almirage. And not a Cybers, so they can't make Lingering Bow if they play Lingering Bow. But the reason why the warrior type is so important is because Donna, because it's a scrap dragon, right? It can clear itself off the board, and then you're free to just summon Kastras. However, Donna requires monsters with different types, and the only natural normal summon in Kashtira is Rise Heart. We're not counting the hand traps here. So, even if they have a Rise Heart in hand and they normal it, they can't link it off into Donna. Now, what they could do is they could link it off into also be Charter Immovable, this card, right? But that's where Unicorn comes in. During your normal combo, or Diablosis comes in. During your normal combo, you're gonna rip a card out of their extra deck. So if you go through the extra deck and you see that they have this Alsa, and you have the Mushroom number 2, you just rip the Alsa and then they can't link it off. Also, another thing I forgot to mention about the warrior typing is it's searchable with Rhoda. Now, so it's Ibly, right? Why not just play Sign Up Mining? The reason why is because Rhoda is not out of place in a regular caster deck because Rise Heart is a warrior. So you can still play Rise Heart, Rhoda search Rise Heart, and that actually frees up Fenrir to search like Castra's Scareclaw or Scareclaw Castra. I'm gonna get those names mixed up all the time. So you don't have to really go out of your way to include Rhoda in your deck, as opposed to Sign Up Mining, where you have to play 3 copies just to search a monster that has no synergy with the rest of the deck. So yeah, it's a normal summon that plays under D-Shifter. It doesn't enable Donna access. It's an awkward level, and it's really hard to link off. That is the main reasons why you play Mushroom number 2. Actually, there's one more. So some people have discussed, why not DD Guide, right? DD Guide is also a warrior, level 4, that gives itself to the opponent, right? Why not just play that? That is a good point. Now, the reason why I would say why you don't want to do that is because, right, if you have a Unicorn on the board and you give the opponent a Mushroom number 2, right, or you give the opponent a DD Guide will trigger the Unicorn, but it won't trigger the Diabolosis, right, to banish cards to the top of the opponent's deck face down. Mushroom Man, because it triggers on the next standby phase, it triggers on a new turn, which means that Diabolosis becomes live again, and your Unicorn is still going to be live anyway, right? So if they have the Mushroom number 2, you got the Diabolosis, you have the Unicorn, right? They trigger Mushroom Man because it's mandatory, right? You get to banish a card out of their extra deck with Unicorn, and you can also banish cards in the top of their deck face down with Diabolosis, right? So during the normal combo, right, they're already 7 cards out of their deck, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus, 1 banished extra deck card, right? Let's say you have Shangri-La and Diabolosis, Diabolosis, Unicorn, right? You have to have the Unicorn on board before Mushroom Man triggers. Where'd Diabolosis go? Oh, it's right here. So I'm gonna banish the calls instead. Right. Let's say you have this setup, and they got a Mushroom number 2 on the board, on the other side of the field, right? So they're already 7 cards out of their deck, right? Plus 1 extra deck card banished. That's 8 cards banished, right? If Mushroom Man triggers in the standby phase, Unicorn triggers, rips another card out of the extra deck, right? That's 9. Right? That's 9 cards, and then Diabolosis is going to trigger, and it's going to banish the top 9 cards of their deck. Right, so so that means they're down 2 cards out of their extra deck. They're down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 cards out of their deck, and now they have now they've lost 2 more zones, right? With Mushroom Man, because it blocks a zone, right? You can just block 2 more monster zones, and then they can't summon a caster. They can't really get out of it. So again, I am hyping up Mushroom number 2, but I don't think the card is as good as you think it is. There are certainly a lot of weaknesses, and again, the fact that it has not appeared in caster decks since it topped that one time leads you to believe that it was kind of a one-off thing, and really what saved it was shock factor. So with that concludes the final part of this caster list. We've gone over a few combos, done some test hands, and we discussed a few other options to play in Kashtira. So please, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, do whatever you do if you like videos on YouTube. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.